Viewers, you're welcome to your darling station, The Living Television. We are at it again at your favorite program, Issues of the Moment. In today's Issues of the Moment, we'll be looking at the World Bank, founded in 1944, and also that same World Bank, the poured encomiums on former President Goodluck Jonathan for the growing economy of Nigeria, but blast President Muhammadu Buhari. According to the World Bank, since Muhammadu Buhari was first elected president in 2015, they said that the World Bank has claimed that the nation's development has slowed down. Nigeria performed well between 2001 and 2014, with an average growth of 7% and was among the top 15 fastest growing economies globally. According to the World Bank's review of Nigerians' public finances, A Better Future for All Nigerians 2022 Nigeria Poverty Assessment. According to the report published on November 21st, 2022, Nigeria poverty commenced between 2021 and 2022. I said that, however, as oil prices dropped, the security situation deteriorated, macroeconomy reforms were undone, and the economic policies grew more unpredictable. This trend abruptly came to an end in 2015. Now, some of the things we are going to look at are some of the comments also by good Nigerians, by well-meaning Nigerians. We are going to look at the economy, but before we go to that, let us move in. Today, I have from my far left, Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Elekwachi is a historian and a public affairs analyst. Comrade, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me join you.
And Dr. Stanley Ndwago, a media person and also an educationist. Doc, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, and to you, our viewers, welcome to this show.
All right. The World Bank, you had their rating, and have really poured encomiums on Goodluck Jonathan for making the economy of Nigeria thrive within the time of his tenure, within the 4 or 5 years he was in office, and had to blast President Muhammadu Buhari, that is the current administration, for the failure of the economy. Let's start with that, Comrade.
Okay, thank you so much. I think what we are seeing is what normally happens. There is what the World Bank calls country reports. In fact, virtually all the international organizations, they have what they call country reports. They make assessments of these countries or member states, and then make disclosures and reports. Look at the situation of things. Sometimes it could be an advisory, sometimes it could be in the form of maybe just appraisal or even rating. And there are also rating agencies like the Fitch rating agencies and the rest of them that will actually make findings and revelations and come up with well-researched articles addressing a particular issue as they have to do with countries. Now, this thing we are seeing, to me, is the obvious. It's a statement of fact. Nigeria is not doing well, whether you look at the macroeconomic policies, whether you look at, even look at the monetary policy, look at the economy structurally itself. I have always been talking about it here under this very administration. And I like what they did, in as much as they didn't single out election. They started from the return to democracy. 2001 was about the time Obasanjo was in the helm of affairs. So they started from there to 2014, and then probably 2015 when President Muhammadu Buhari took over. If you look at it comparatively, you see that the economy was projected to attain a double-digit growth under the watch of Professor Okonjo-Iweala, former Minister of Finance and coordinating Minister of the Economy. In fact, at the time we had what was known as rebase of the economy. I think that was 2010, when many informal sectors, including the entertainment industries, were integrated into the economic base of Nigeria, and we saw a growth that projected and pointed to the fact that Nigeria was among the 20 fastest growing economy in the world. But if you look at what has happened over the last 7 years, you see that, I'm sorry to say, but those years seem to represent years of locust. A lot has happened, yes. Now, at that time, it may interest you to know that unemployment was around sometimes 19% or so. Today, we are talking about 33% of unemployment. Inflation is 21.9%. Now, see the irony. The assumption of 2023 budget, the proposed budget for 2023, the assumption of the budget is to work with a template that says inflation should be 17%, which means it's already a deficit, you understand? And then you now look at what is happening between borrowing and then the ability to amortize or to even pay. We are borrowing to fund our budget, and we still borrow to offset debt or to service debt. And again, if you look at it, you will see that the oil, which seems to be the be-all and end-all of the economy, has not even fared well. Apart from the volatility, maybe external shocks, then instability that may have to influence whatever happens, including things like war, as they are happening in Ukraine, maybe outbreak of the pandemic, all that have actually led to a sharp fall in the price of this product. We are still treated to the news of oil theft, where we are told that about, in fact, the OPEC quota was 1.3 million barrels per day. At a time, Nigeria could not meet that expectation. We are producing 1.1 million barrels per day. Then we had a startling revelation was made that out of the 1.1 million barrels we still managed to produce a day, 900,000 barrels were being stolen by some persons here, to be known. We've seen in the country where bad oil or bad fuel was actually imported by companies who are working and playing in the sector who are to be interrogated. Then you also think about insecurity, which has actually harmed, in fact, weakened the non-oil sectors like agriculture, where farmers have been displaced, farmlands ravaged, destroyed by unknown government, bandits, and then headers. So when you look at all these things, you now begin to see that if we do not manage this situation or this time very well, it will be a gloomy future awaits us. No country progresses, you understand, in this kind of indices. And hearing that the Minister of Finance was saying we are not broke, trying to relate it with GDP debt relations, it's not going to save us. The same ministry, you must remember, inserted a bogus 206 point something billion inside the budget of the Ministry of Maintenance Affairs. So a lot is happening. Corruption has not allowed us to grow. Unemployment is not letting up. A lot of things. So it is where we are actually.
Well, Doc, I also wanted to look at this. Nigeria experienced a drop in oil prices as well as the negative effects of the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019 and 2020. As a result, between 2015 and 2021, the GDP growth rate only averaged 1.1%. Rapid population growth slowed, and the number of Nigerians living in poverty steadily rose.
What the World Bank has succeeded in saying is to remind us what we already know. We already know that this current administration, led by Muhammadu Buhari, has lost control of the economy. We used to know the cost of a bag of rice some years ago, 15,000 at most. I don't think it was. No, 8,000, 7,000. From there, it ran to 11,000, and by the time we knew it, it got to 20,000. Today, it is over 50,000 naira and still rising. We all know the rate of unemployment, as this historian has said today, it is 31% and even soaring, 33% and still soaring. We also know that the oil, that is the main source of revenue, isn't giving us what we want. The quota, we cannot even meet it. Occasioned by oil theft, by big people who up to this moment have not been mentioned. This administration has lost control of the economy. That is all we know. And then the World Bank went further to praise Dr. Goodluck Jonathan. Those were the golden years of Nigeria. But today, what can we see? We have seen a country where the majority of Nigerians live below the poverty level. You see families living below $1 per day.
Per day, yes. And 25 cents per day.
So what are we talking about? What we're talking about is that we are in trouble economic-wise in Nigeria. There are several factors we could say contributed to that. But one thing that makes it sound funny to me is that this revision is coming at a time where the president is saying that he has done his best. Yes, it could be right that he has done his best. But the question is, how good is Buhari's best? That's just a simple question. I could do my best and my best is nowhere. Buhari's best has taken us to nowhere. This is a man under whose administration Nigeria slipped into recession. We said we recovered from recession and we cannot see the effect of it. And then our debt profile keeps soaring. I think we owe over 40 trillion naira in debt. Exactly. And we are also borrowing, just as you pointed out, to service debts, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And yet there is no end in sight to our problem. Even the World Bank report says that even the governors are not doing well. One of the things they say that the governors are not even doing what they're supposed to do. They're not even accountable. While the federal government is fumbling, state governors are also fumbling, all to the detriment of the common person in society. There are several factors we could allude to that. One, insecurity that has affected agriculture. Insecurity where farmlands have been ravaged. Insecurity where people can no longer do their businesses in the north. And then the government seems not to be in control of that. We were told that there was a grammar they used that they have decimated Boko Haram. There is another grammar they use up to technically good, defeated Boko Haram. I love that word, technically.
But said they have downgraded.
But today, the same people who have been technically defeated and downgraded are still holding sway in some parts of the country. Then the COVID-19 pandemic has come to make it worse. Yet, there is no clear-cut policy by the government of the country, by the central bank, by the Minister of Budget and National Planning to solve the problem. So what I'm saying is that the World Bank has succeeded in only telling us what we already know. We are the ones feeling the impact. We know it more than the World Bank knows.
All right, I think, comrade, so that you take it up from there. The most worrying aspect, according to the World Bank, is that 2021 saw a significant decline in real per capita income, and that it would take Nigeria about 10 years to return to its GDP per capita level of 2014.
Yes, that's it. In fact, you see, that is why it is often said it is easier to do. What we have, who are sitting on the economic team of the president. You don't convey what you have to do with those who have been there before. I want to talk about the time when Obasanjo was president. We had Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, we had Olusegun Aganga. These are experts in economy. Even the current governor of Anambra State, Soludo. In the time of Jonathan, we had the same Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Many people, in fact. It may interest you to know that one of the reasons why we slipped into recession in 2016 was that we didn't heed the advice of that woman. Okonjo-Iweala said the way the oil says we are actually coming, that Nigeria should be saving. Some governors, let me mention their name, when I'm giving the credit to Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who took the initiative to even talk about these persons in her book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. She mentioned the governors of Rivers State, Road to Amechi, Osun State, then who is now the Minister of Interior, he mentioned that of Akwa Ibom, the Senator Godswill Akpabio,
who is also a minister now.
Yes, who is also a minister now. He mentioned, including Adams Oshomole, then of Edo State. And if you look at it, sorry to say this, these are all members of NDC today. Yeah. So he mentioned, he said, these people were fighting. I'm not trying to say it as a means of campaign. She said the only person who, or the only few persons who were with her was those like Peter Obi and few others whose voices were stifled in the midst of the whole controversy and argument. She said that these persons insisted that the monies not be safe, that the states have access to the money. Before you know, with everything, the campaigns were around. This money we are not accounted for, and the national security direction. Then the management team, who should manage this? Mind you, no administration in Nigeria has ever come without having problem. When Obasanjo came, debt was high, but it took Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala and others, you understand, to begin to think, to reach out to World Bank, and we had debt cancellation and debt reprieve. Nigeria returned on a clean bill of health. Why is it that now we are talking about debt exceeding our capacity to pay over 40 trillion naira? Even till today, as we speak, we have the CBN has what to call means and ways through which the federal government borrow money from it. Today, as we speak, the profile is standing in the 50 trillion naira from 900 and something billion naira under Jonathan. So it all points to something that the administration we are under now have not been able to address economic problems, including the ones they inherited and the ones they have actually created through the kind of appointment, those who are managing the team. You understand? Ask yourself the kind of minister of finance we have today. You also ask yourself the kind of minister of, in fact, the president himself is the minister of petroleum affairs. So that we were talking about the theft and everything that has happened. So if you look, in fact, it's a conflict of factors. And I strongly believe as we progress, we begin to dissect and now begin to do what? Educate our viewers.
All right, yeah. Even just like you mentioned, Dr. Onduago, about the governors not helping matters. We remember here about a week ago that even the federal government accused the state governments for the poverty rate that they are contributing immensely. And then looking into it, we also discovered that they even accused them directly of embezzling or rather looting local government, funds, finances and so on. Now let us, I want you to look at the role of the governors. Have they actually done well, or they actually contributing to the poverty, rate we're talking about in Nigeria?
Mr. Moderator, it is obvious that these governors have contributed very significantly to the poverty level of the citizens. We should not just blame the federal government alone. A portion of the blame should go to the state governors, who receive humongous allocations on a monthly basis, and we have little to show for what they have received. Just as you pointed out recently, the federal government of Nigeria made a revelation about how much they have released, especially to oil-producing states. And one begins to wonder, if these state governors have received such humongous amounts, what is it on ground to show for it? They take the money belonging to the state governments. They also take what belongs to local government areas. We know that a particular local government area here in other states gets some time ago had as much as 120 million naira. And when I interviewed one of the officers, I don't want to, he told me was given to several years. And these governors even go to the extent of appointing what they call TC chairman, election committee chairman, who they can hire and fire at any given time. So I could tell you emphatically that these governors have contributed immensely to that. They go about borrowing. Federal government is borrowing. State governors are borrowing. And when they borrow this money, we don't know where it goes into. They receive grants. And let me tell you, The federal government of Nigeria released what they called the intervention fund. That was the first thing Buhari did, running into billions of naira, giving to some of these governors to please clear salary arrears and pension arrears of your various states. I know that some states did not utilize that money very well. While that was ending, federal government released what they called this reform, Paris Club reform. Some states got 22 billion naira. And here in Abia State, a particular family made arrangements of taking 50% of that money. One particular family tried to take 11 billion naira. I played post to the former commissioner for finance, and what is his name, Oriago, on several occasions, and he made startling revelations how people are feeding fat on the coffers of the state. He mentioned how in a particular state, the commissioner for finance will go for FAC meeting, the accountant general will want to go, the permanent secretary, ministry of finance will want to go. Each of them taking millions of naira to go for something one person would do. So these governors have not been prudent in the management of the resources of their states, and that alone is contributing significantly to the poverty rate. Here in Abia State, some people are owed as much as 27 months.
Up to 30.
Some are owed 30 months. Some are owed 21 months. Tell me why the poverty rate will not be high under such circumstance. Therefore, it is obvious that these governors are contributing significantly. We are told, if you go and check how much each of these governors takes home as security votes, a particular governor takes 1.2 billion naira home every month as security vote. A particular governor takes 800 million naira on a monthly basis as security vote. Yet some people have been owed their salaries for 31 months, 32, 37 months. Today in Abia State, medical doctors are on strike because of the state not being able to pay their salaries. This is contributing to the poverty level, my brother. So the governors are also to be held responsible for the rate of poverty in our country.
Yeah, comrade.
Yes.
Last time a particular contestant in Enugu South, a lady, yes, said that if he's elected as a senator of the Federal Republic, that one of the first things he's going to ensure is to ensure that local government elections becomes autonomous, and not just that, to make sure that they stand on their own.
Yeah.
He cited examples of 1999 when they were alone, when they grade roads, build schools and so on.
Yeah.
But today there are no such things.
Yes.
Courtesy of the governors.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. And I want to thank Dr. Nduagu for that kind intervention, truthful intervention. You see, I said here the other time, if you remember very well, that the baseline of assessing this poverty we're talking about is usually the rural areas and then the urban areas. There is what you call social ascent. You understand? Migration from one class or one cadre of economy or status to the other. I said, are they migrating? What has happened to poverty? Are people now eating 3 square meals? Do they have more to spare? You understand? Or is family finance, or our family finance is shrinking? I established something. I said the baseline usually the relationship between urban and rural area. And I said, if you look at that NBS report, the National Bureau of Statistics, the report said 70% of the 133 million persons living in abject poverty are in the rural areas at all. Am I correct?
Yeah, you're right. In the rural areas.
And where are these rural areas? Local government council. Local councils, where the governor sits, appoints a stooge, and the stooge does his bidding. And then the people, in fact, President Muhammad Buhari said a certain governor whose name he didn't reveal would collect money and force it on the council chairman to sign that they have received all when they part with 50%.
That is literally what all the government.
That's what across everywhere. And when the same president issued, I think he came up with order, is executive order number 10. Ordering the accountant general to make sure that money to be paid to the state must be paid on the basis of those who are able or to meet with what transparency at the local level. The governors kick it against that. They turn everything to politics. The Nigerian governors will, and I'm sorry to say it. You understand? See what happened at the primaries. They hijacked every structure of the party. Now, see, I want to say this, you see, you cannot talk about poverty without looking at the condition of the farming folk, the fisher folk, those in the agrarian society or the community. Look at them structurally, you see that they have not made any significant progress. And it's quite unfortunate that Dr. has said something here. Governors take security votes every month. Let me tell you that the Minister of Finance for State said over the last 7 years, these governors have received 5.3 trillion naira in intervention. Intervention includes bailout funds. Bailout funds given to them to pay salaries of their workers. They didn't pay. In Niger State, let me also tell you this. We saw when pensioners, in fact, retirees, old citizens, these are people we should take care of. In America, in the United Kingdom, if you see the kind of welfare they create for them, but what is in our old citizens is the family system we run, the dependency system we have. Take away the family system we have, they will all die. Yes. Now see, they came out in the streets to protest against 20 years gratuity being owed them in Niger State. From
my mother was not paid until her demise.
Imagine from 2002 to the current dispensation, they've not received gratuity, not even for once. So they took to the street. So it speaks to something that the governors, to an extent, are also contributing to poverty. See, the local government, as established in the constitution, is clear as that it should be the third tier of government, independently carrying out its responsibilities. Now ask yourself, many people don't even, in fact, they box us at the governor. You know the president, you know the governor, you know few commissioner, that is all. Some do not know that at the local council level, especially the younger ones who are joining us today, that equivalent of governor and the president is the executive chairman, who should be elected.
Yes.
You understand? But today, governors are not even allowing opposition parties even to thrive in local government elections. They're not even, that is, if they had managed to conduct election through their state-controlled independent electoral commission. You understand? CEC and the rest of them. Now see, these governors, as I'm speaking to you now, you understand? Apart from what we have been talking about, you look at the local council, you see that people of these millennials and the so-called Gen Zs, they do not know that the local government chairman is a equivalent of the governor and that of the president at the local and the grassroots level, and that the supervisor is like a minister or a commissioner at the grassroots level, and that a councillor is like a legislator, whether a state house assembly member or national assembly member. But where are they today? They don't longer function. I said here before, I used to remember when Abbas House had tractors, it could rent out and make some money, it could use to grade roads. Where are those things today?
Gone.
Where are they? So it's a horrible one. It's a very horrible
That's exactly what the aspirant princess that's exactly what the
she was saying in any stage. And we are asking that question. This one, she has made this revelation. We don't
allow her to
go.
That is it, because there is no how a governor, I know in so many states, they will tell you is 50 over 50, 100 over 100. And there is no how you tell me, if you're talking about a local government election, that there are no other political parties that win even a
single council, a single ward.
And that is to say that do we call that election?
It cannot be election.
There's no way you will call it an election where the state independent electoral independent input is controlled by the governor of the state.
Yeah.
He appoints the chairman of the electoral commission in the state. He appoints board members. He fixes the election. He funds the election. He sends people to the field. He says what happens. So there's no way the opposition can thrive, can even have a say in that election where the governor is in control of all that happens.
So the elected chairman should be also referred as
once you become the candidate of the ruling party in the state, automatically it is over. Just struggle to get the ticket of the ruling party in the state.
That was the problem.
You have won.
Someone made that argument. I have forgotten who now. Someone made that argument. I have forgotten who now. Say that the governors, that they were more power, they were power drunk than any president.
That is the truth.
And the person said that is the fear he had over state police. That if you introduce state police, controlled by this governor, that they will end up hijacking it, using it to intimidate opposition members. The person now cited the issue or the question of local government autonomy. Where do these opposition parties win election? in local government
It has never happened.
It has never happened.
So all these things
So
invariably contribute to the poverty rate,
yes,
of poverty in the country.
Because it's just about cronyism. My man, the way we say it here, in a slangish manner, we say man no man. You understand? They put their own stooges, their own puppets, the people they can control, and they are assured of their returns. In addition to security votes given to them, but they forgot conveniently too that part of security is to pay salary. If you pay salary, some of the children you see in the street will not be there because their parents will have more to take care of them. It's quite unfortunate.
A situation where an insignificant aide who was jobless before becoming the governor's aide becomes super rich within 1 year.
Super rich.
Super rich. And today in Nigeria, we no longer have the middle class. It's either you are super rich or you are super poor. It has disappeared in Nigeria today. So we should ask these governors what they are doing with the money belonging to their various states.
All right.
By the time we refuse to ask them questions, the poverty rate will continue to increase.
All right, viewers, we are going to go on a very, very short break, and then I want to stand by this question that Dr. Ndwago has posed. Where is our money? The governors, what about the local government allocations? Where are they? And that has helped to increase poverty. And so when the federal government blames the governors on the poverty rate, that means they are not wrong. That's exactly what they are talking about here. And then we are going to go on a very short break. We'll be back in a if you just don't go away, keep watching Living TV. We'll be back. I'm glad you're still there watching your darling station, The Living TV. We are talking about the World Bank's findings and researches. You know, the World Bank, like we earlier mentioned, according to the name, international organization that deals on providing financial advice and research. And that is why they've been able to come up with this. And next, we are looking, I'll be coming to you, Comrade Nnamdi.
Yeah.
Nigeria is one of the least diversified oil producers in the world.
Exactly. I think if you look at the statistics and the numbers about this country, nothing seems to be positive anymore. Not that I'm being pessimistic. I still believe it can survive this country. But currently now, a World Cup is going on in Qatar. All of us are watching and we are cheering. The money with which this World Cup was being, or in fact, it's being hosted, came from the oil sector. Can we do half of what can we even have the milestone of Qatar? Where they were able to build stadia, including building stadia with a container, things from container. Something, a stadium that can actually be dismantled. We've seen Go to other OPEC members and then oil producing countries. You see the employment level, you see income per capita, you see poverty, you see inflation. You now come back to Nigeria, you ask yourself, why are we so much this way? You see, the problem with Nigeria is not even that we are not rich. We have oil, but it's not even about diversification now. We also have other solid minerals. We have over the years sat upon and refused to diversify. Recently, former TSO2 General Sani Abacha, Hamza Al-Mustafa, who is also an aspirant in the for the 2023 presidential election, he made a revelation, and nobody has ever asked a question. He said that there is nothing like Boko Haram being strong or holding sway in Sambisa forest. That there was a solid mineral found in Sambisa in 1995, which was supposed to make Nigeria one of the richest states. Some persons just planted some persons there in the name of terrorism. That there are businesses, there are sales going on there. This could have also contributed to diversity or diversification of the economy. As we speak now, Nigeria has bazaars, coal. In fact, he said something again, and I want to put. He said, in this east where we are today, there is this sand, this red sand, this mud that has gold content. You understand? That has gold constituent. But only China knows how to extract that gold. We are selling these things cheap, not knowing what we are selling. You understand? And now you ask yourself, agriculture, what has happened? The CBN Anchors Borrowers Program, how many families can it boost of having lifted out of poverty? Now you ask yourself, the conditional cash transfer program, the SIP, social investment program, how many businesses, micro businesses has it helped to grow? You understand? To channel away our attention from oil, from the oil sector, which we are still managing, you understand, to even keep standing. Now, let us also forget about all those ones. Now, in Nigeria now, our young ones are tech savvy. What has Nigeria done in the area of startups? See, all of us are here talking about internet, Facebook, WhatsApp, what have you. All these things came from Silicon Valley at the university, Stanford University. But what has Nigerian universities, what have the Nigerian universities been able to do? It is either strike today or tomorrow. I said the other day, at a time when coronavirus was ravaging the world, Oxford University and AstraZeneca pharmaceutical company went into research. Our universities were shut down in the name of strike. The result of that was AstraZeneca vaccine, for which our politicians were falling and killing themselves just to get jabbed and inoculated with. If you look at the indices, you see that the problem is not even that the meta did not bless Nigeria. We began with coal. That became our outmoded. It was oil. Now ask yourself, why is it that we produce oil? Our refineries up to now, as you speak, 4 of them combined can only give you 450,000 barrels per day. Yet they can't give you a drop. We are wasting billions on turnaround maintenance, CAM and the rest of them. Every day we waste billions. At the end of the day, the budget is not self-sustaining. The budget is not even realizable. We are talking about the budget of 20 trillion naira, yet 11 trillion is deficit. Where can it happen?
Mr. Talk about diversification.
I want to, yes, I want you to combine it with that.
Because
according to the report, it will be very difficult for Nigeria to benefit from the tailwinds brought on by commodity booms due to the decoupling of macroeconomic and physical trends from the cycle of global oil prices.
I remember that in Nigeria, during our elementary economics in the secondary school, there was a time Nigeria had what was called oil boom. I remember my father used to tell me that there was a time agriculture was the mainstay of Nigerian economy. We used to have palm oil in the southeast that the Wakelopara and the rest were able to establish certain things. Cocoa was thriving in the west. That most of the things built in the west in those days and the scholarship given to people who are mostly professors today We have proceeds from cocoa, groundnut pyramids in the north. And the advent of oil came and swept all these away. During the Gowon era, I think that was the point we had that oil boom.
Yeah,
my father used to tell me that there was a time Gowon looked at Nigerian money and the oil and said that our problem is not the money but how to spend it.
Yeah. He even nearly paid the workers in Grenada. Gowon nearly paid workers of another country.
That there was a time also that Naira had more value than dollar.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, my mother's eldest sister went to the US in early 70s, and my maternal grandparents were sending money from Nigeria here to him in the US to help sustain himself. That money was coming from agriculture. But today, what is the problem? We have decided now not to diversify, to die with oil. We have here in the various states no longer look for ways of surviving. They rely on the monthly allocation from the federal government. Here in Abia, we have cocoa. What have we been able to achieve with it? Do you know that in Abia North, we can have a cement factory in Abia North to diversify our economy? What has happened to our palm oil? Go to Okwa local government area. We have a palm plantation. What is it called? Adapam. What about the Ogwe chicken established by this Sambakwe? We have refused.
Even in Abia State,
Even in
Abia
Palm. So we have refused.
Even rubber plantation.
Rubber plantation. These are the places through which we can diversify our economy and not waiting for money accruing from oil. Therefore, my brothers, what I am saying is that the governors have become clueless as the president of the country, not finding ways of diversifying our economy, waiting for money from oil. That is why, if anything happens to us, there's a particular book in economics we read by C.S. Okeke, where they say that when the oil sneezes, the economy of Nigeria catches a cold because we have refused to diversify.
Yeah.
What do? We should begin to think outside the box, to think of ways to diversify the economy of Nigeria and not relying solely on oil, because someday this oil will disappoint Nigeria and you and I may die out of hunger.
Okay, comrade, despite these, the National Bureau of Statistics recently revealed that more Nigerians than expected, 133 million people, were multidimensionally poor.
Yes.
And then it's still talking about the poverty rate in Nigeria.
Yes.
And now, if you compare, according to the statistics they have here, if you compare the level of poverty then and what we have with this recent discovery,
It's higher now.
then it's higher. Then what is the federal government doing about this?
See, to me, every government should have a policy plan. When we became independent, there was what they call National Economic Plan of 1961. I think that one has either 5 or 10 years development plan to grow the economy and take people out of poverty. We had the civil war in 1960. Then we came back. Then we started talking about the same economic plan. I think the first phase was from 1971 to 75. Later we had another one that said from I think 75 to 85. All these things, some of them were not actualized. But there should be a template. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari, in answering what you say, the question, what has he been doing? He's talking about lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty by 2030. But the fact remains, you have to create the template. And this is a very funny thing. You have to create the template that will be self-sustaining. Now look at it. Because you are not going to be the man in charge by 2030. But you have to create the platform that will trigger this growth exponentially to take people out of poverty. What is the president doing? What they are doing to me is like scratching the surface. They are doing what they call conditional transfer.
5,000,
30,000 naira, federal money, farmer money. That is not, it will not address poverty. You are giving someone 10,000 naira when a bag of rice is almost 50,000 naira. That is number one. Then number two, you have the Empower. You understand? Is this a massive employment scheme? The same federal government has placed a moratorium on employment. In fact, there is no intake anywhere in the sector. Now again, apart from that, the federal government is also saying that it is building infrastructure, and we know the challenges there are. So what the federal government has been doing, whether you talk about social intervention program, whether you talk about security measures, they are not enough, although they can do better. And there is also something we can also give a little credit to them for. There is now a little growth in the non-oil sector than ever before. But I have to say this, you see, if by 2018, 88 million Nigerians were poor, multidimensionally poor, as they say, it's just to tell you that dimensionally, education is a dimension.
Yes.
Employment is a dimension. You understand? Security is a dimension. Social life is a dimension. All these things are the dimensions they look at. They say multidimensionally, meaning 130 million Nigerians
133 million
are not educationally advantaged, at the same time being socially advantaged, at the same time being gainfully employed, at the same time being happily married and all, that is what it means. Now the meaning is that if by 2018 88 million from I think one of these reporting agencies were poor in Nigeria, and the National Bureau of Statistics came out to tell you boldly, our own bureau now said 133 million, it means additional 45 million persons had slumped into poverty, falling below poverty line of $1.25. And we should give kudos to the
about 53 million.
Yeah.
If you say 80.
Yes, 88 million.
Okay.
And now, yes, 88
now
million, and now
133.
133. That's about 45 million persons.
Yeah.
Now, you see, we have to give kudos to this Bureau of Statistics. I remember vividly, sometime in 2018 or 2017, they were under pressure. The head of the Statistician General of the Federation, who was also heading the bureau, was under attack from the presidency because he released a report about unemployment. Garba Shehu and Femi Adesina were against him, saying that they are used. Who is Garba Shehu to articulate economic policy or to even intervene? You understand? So this is the problem we are having.
All right, let us look at some of the comments. Let's take first in Dr. Aliu, a development economist, said he completely concurs with the World Bank. He declared that we say we are having growth, but the growth is figurative and not reflecting development in the country. That is Dr. Aliu's assertion. And also Dr. Aliu said Nigeria has persistent problems such as insecurity that threatened the agricultural industry and fuel subsidy that has reduced oil revenue. Doc, let me come to you. We're talking about this oil subsidy. How has it helped Nigerians?
One of the recommendations, the World Bank, which is also called the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, IBRD, one of the recommendations they made, even IMF, they have kept saying that this issue of subsidy is really killing the country. And this subsidy we are talking about runs into billions of naira on a monthly basis. And only an insignificant few are benefiting from it. I remember that Goodluck Jonathan made some bold attempts to remove the oil subsidy, and Nigeria was almost brought down by the opposition. Lagos was locked down, even smaller states were locked down, why he must attempt to remove the subsidy. And those who did that are the current APC members. Today, they don't know how to go about removing the oil subsidy that runs into trillions of naira every year. And then removal of this subsidy has all its own implications on the common person. Today, fuel is sold for 250 naira in some states. Transport cost has risen astronomically, and the DSS is threatening filling stations. That they are going to set up filling stations and nothing has been done. So what I'm saying is that now the growth we are talking about, just as Ali said, is figurative. Buhari will tell you that Nigerian economy is growing. The Minister of National Budget and National Planning will give you some figures.
Say we are not broke.
Central Bank will give you its own figures. Yet we don't see these things reflecting on the livelihood of the common person. People die of hunger. Some families cannot even boast of having 2 meals in a day. I lived in China as a teacher some years ago. It might interest you to know that in Guangdong, in Guangzhou, capital of Guangdong province where I lived, you don't even buy rice. Rice is free. Throughout the time I lived there, I never paid a yuan, that is their currency, for rice. The food wasted in China in a day can feed Nigeria for 1 whole month there in China. It was in China I saw these fruits we were seeing in the children's book. You know, this Jehovah's Witness, they have this book called My Book of Bible Stories. You will see some fruits there. Berries, and it was in China I will see children giving this thing free to other people on the way. I never even knew that those fruits were existing. Where if you want to go into agriculture, the government will give you loan, interest-free loan, and give you so many 5 years to return the money. So Nigeria can only survive all these things if we diversify, if we go into agriculture. Yeah. That is the only way out. So as Ali pointed out, these figures the federal government and its agencies are banding about are only figurative. We are poor, we are dying of hunger. There is no growth, I can say, except, just as Nnamdi pointed out, that the non-oil sector, there is a little insignificant appreciable growth. Yes. But that does not even solve the problem of Nigeria.
Yes. All right, Pat Utomi on his own, a professor of political economy, and the founder of the Center for Values in Leadership, added that since the president's inauguration, they have signs of stagnant development. There have been no development. There is nothing has added in any of the sectors except depreciating. Comrade.
Yes, I have talked about it here. Say, if Nigeria is a country that is desirous of growth, ordinarily our entertainment industry ought to be giving us more than we are reporting. Ordinarily, our entertainment industry ought to be giving us more than we are entertaining. I think a recent release said that $22 million was made from social media alone, and they were expecting, I think, $22 million or so, or billion, and then they were expecting more. Now, imagine if Nigeria had actually rebased the economy using multi-dimensional approach. Do you understand? Spreading the dragnet to capture all the sectors. We have a lot of informal sectors, especially in the SMEs. Many businesses are not even captured in the formal scheme of things. Many businesses, including production. People in Aba here, for example, produce belt, leather work, and what have you. Yet there is no way of bringing them to the fore. I'm talking about being a major player in the economy to increase exponentially our export capacity. What is development? Development, export exceeds your import, and that's what you call balance of economics. Outgrows your import. Today, P2B and the rest are saying Nigeria is a consumption nation because we depend virtually on everything, including toothpick, to come from abroad. But let me say this: you see, the issue of subsidy. Sometimes I cry. I have met a particular. I presented a paper in a society platform about this. From my research, I was nearly crying. What is happening is that, unfortunately, this country is blessed with oil, yet it doesn't have any refinery working. Unfortunately, Dangote is even bringing on board by next year or so 600,000 barrels per day refinery in Lagos. But the foreign refineries we have they have the capacity to give us 450,000 barrels per day. That is if they are optimal. Now they are giving us nothing. The federal government ships these products outside the shores of this country and pays for the refining. After it's being refined abroad, it will land. You have what to call landing cost, jetty cost, total cost. Now we need to talk about other things they pay. They pay Nimasa fee. You pay all these even customs. You pay them for this product. The moment it has landed in the mother vessel. Now after all these and the rest of them, you have daughter vessels from the owners of tank farm, oil tank farm, and the depot, private owners of depot. They now send vessels, daughter vessels, to go and convert these things. At each time the oil is moving, price is fluctuating, price is changing, and that is why if after everything the government will say this is the one we can do what subsidize pay, and some persons are leveraging that to feather their nest and grow even bigger than the nation. After everything, the product is not even available. So the truth about it is that if you look at what a part of Tommy is saying, whether you want to look at businesses, they may have to do with private individuals, whether you want to look at productivity, production. Even the other day I was talking about service. In Nigeria, service is not even valued. The telecommunication providers, I don't even know. You go to transportation, these are also service. You also go to even hotel and the rest of them. What is the federal government doing to leverage these potentials we have? That is the problem.
All right, Doc, looking at this, we've seen all these problems, and then for the World Bank to have come up with this, I'm sure they're expecting something. It is also pointing to what will 2023 give to this country. Just like Obasanjo would say, he said it and has continued to maintain what he said, that if you fail in 2023, that this country would not be a better place for anyone.
I am apprehensive in the sense that if we fail to get it right in the next election,
not just about the federal at the top level, we should also be talking about the states equally.
If we fail to get it right in 2023 on who becomes the next president of Nigeria, who our state governors are, who our legislators are, if we fail to elect our best 11 to survey the situation, even though I know they are not going to do any miracle, they are not going to perform any magic. Even if you bring an angel now to become the president of Nigeria, he will have challenges to grapple with, because you are coming to meet a corrupt system. You are coming to meet a system that is even working backwards. This is just like bringing new wine and putting it into an old bottle. We have to first of all wash the bottle thoroughly. So it will take whoever has become the next president of Nigeria to wash the bottle and then move Nigeria forward. Therefore, 2023 provides us with the best opportunity we need to fix things. Remember that World Bank said that the damage done to our economy will take 10 years to be able to clear. What it simply means is that it can only take 10 years if the right people come into power. So if the wrong people come into power, so the number of years it will take, it will be damaged all through moving forward. Therefore, 2023, as I have always said, provides us with the best opportunity to get it right. If we fail to get it right on who becomes our next president, who our governors are going to be, because it takes a good president to have a good team, good ministers to be able to come up with policies. Remember, Nnamdi pointed out that during the Obasanjo era, even though I have a lot of problems, a lot of issues with Obasanjo, but one good thing is that he had the best team that put things right for Nigeria. They were able to have the Nigeria debt cancelled. They were able to place our economy on a good state. The security situation was manageable under them because they had a good team. Therefore, if we are not able to have a good president that can assemble a good team, Nigeria will be doomed in no distant time.
All right, before we go, Comrade Nnamdi, while talking about the presidential election and also the state election, what do you think can be put in place to ensure that even when you talk about the 3 tiers of government, that the local government will be functional even in 2023?
Yes, thank you so much. I think there is a section, a draconian section in the Nigerian Constitution, section 162, subsection 6 of the section of the Constitution establishes what you call state joint local government account.
The one they call JAC.
Yes, the one they call JAC. Section 162 of the Nigerian Constitution establishes that, and that has been the basis on which the governors have stand. I have actually stood rather every time to financially handicap the local governments. We need to have a conversation around that, and that was why I was saying, will that woman in Enugu State ever succeed? Because this is where she will start from.
The governors will feel uncomfortable, they feel threatened.
You see, at a time, like that person said, in 1999, the local government were almost independent entirely. The governors fought them through the governors forum. They came together, and I think in 2003. In 2003, there was an argument to even abolish that tier
local government system.
The governors advanced. They made that case that the local government should be abolished. Now you ask yourself,
They
how
even
can
reduced
get-
the tenure.
They reduce the tenure. In some cases,
So to 2 years.
So 2 years.
And the worst again is to look at the electoral laws of this country to see whether we can incorporate the local government. If actually it is the third tier of government, do you know why I'm saying this? A local government is not even in the schedule of INEC. It's not in INEC's program.
State independent electoral
Yes,
commissions.
the state governors manage and micromanage elections at the local level. You understand what I'm saying? So how can we, a federal entity as a local government, we are making it to belong to the state? This should be an independent tier of government.
Yes.
So let us have that conversation where we try to win the federal government, try to yank it off from the stranglehold of the states. If we continue like this, more people will be poor. Because population we are talking about the old population. If someone grows old, in the olden times, before now, they would like to go back to the village. You understand? To enjoy their hard work and then collect their salaries. Now, how many people are there? You go to our villages, you see posters, burial everywhere. People are dying, and the struggle is to leave the low and come here. So these are the kind of conversations we need to have. You understand? Then, number two, the president should also have the political will. You see, it's not just enough to issue executive order or any fiat. You back it up with action. The little what the constitution has given you, you also have to do what? Leverage it and make sure you do the necessary things. Because I see it that each time the president brings out this conversation, he will be reminded of the need to be re-elected. We've never had presidents who want to do a term, who will tell you, damn with that, we are going to fix this country, even if it's 4 years. So if time the president brings about this conversation, brings up the conversation, the governors will tell him that they will not deliver the states. I'm using that word, deliver. And that is what they call structure.
That has been the language.
It has been the structure, yes. I will deliver the state for you. So let us have this conversation. And again, it is important that we here, and we are doing enough, keep educating Nigerians on this. Let National National Agency and the rest of them do the needful. Again, it hurts me so much when we have constitutional amendment the way it is being done. We don't make it public. We don't make it like a debate. And that was why I was saying the other day, any person aspiring to rule this country must come and talk to us. You say it is democracy. You say it began in ancient Greece. And I tell you that in those days in Athens, people gathered in the arena to talk.
Yes.
They gathered to talk. The men folk gathered to talk. In Alibo here we are today. When you say Omunna or Amana, it means people, men folk have gathered to talk, to critically examine situations affecting them. That is what we are lacking in this country.
I think because of the time, we are coming to the end of today's program. But by next week, Tuesday, I also want you to do your research. We are going to go in on issues of the moment like this. We are going to talk about this local government. It is very, very important because when you talk about the level of poverty, is because that the third tier of government
the wealth is not
at
the second.
It's not
at the second level.
Yes.
The wealth is trapped at the second
Yes.
level. It does not trickle down. That's the problem.
Yeah, so we are going to look at that on Tuesday and issues of the moment. We are really going to do a holistic deliberation on that. Having said that, we are happy that you've been there watching Living Television and also issues of the moment and also the research and the outcome of the World Bank's research as it concerns Nigerian economy. And I'm sure you've enjoyed today's discussion. And we'll be back again. Remember, tomorrow is Nigeria Today. Keep watching Living TV. From my far left is Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade, it's always a pleasure having you here.
It's always my pleasure being here too. Thank you.
And Dr. Stanley Ndwago, we are pleased to have you here today.
Thank you for having me too. And to you, our listeners, thank you for being there with us.
Keep watching Living TV. Tomorrow is Nigeria Today. We will come up with some other interesting topical issues. And remember, you keep a date with us on Tuesday when we are going to holistically look at the local government affairs, the third tier of government. What are they doing? Will something happen in 2023 for the top tier of government be empowered like the other two so that the people at the rural areas will equally enjoy? Thank you. This is your anchorman, Chinedum Adele. Until I come your way again, keep watching Living TV. Thank you.